Thank you, and thanks everybody for coming. And Jeff, hard act to follow. No video here, unfortunately. There will be next to you. But look, I'd like to thank the panel as well. There's a few key things that they said which I picked up on, which is obviously innovation. I think in mining is one theme that you'll see from us. We are looking at mining not mining, but certainly the processing for copper in a slightly different slant. Scale is certainly another important point. Obviously, copper is a buzzword at the moment. It's our focus at the moment as well. We do have the zinc project I'll talk to as well, but also in the interest of time, I'll move through this pretty quickly. So please come and see me afterwards if you've got any questions. With that. So who are we? To start with, well, myself, Dave O'Neill, the Managing Director. So as Danica pointed out, ex-BHP, Western Mining, I'm a geologist. So if I get too technical, please, again, pull me up. But I could talk about the geology of particularly our projects all day. Who are we? We're an Australian company, but we're mostly based or solely based in Utah and Canada. And that was a very clear distinction for us when we put the company together, because you do need to go to new jurisdictions. If you want good assets, you do need to go to new parts of the world. If you look at M&A in Australia, particularly, it's very difficult. And we found that particularly with the Canada and the TSX and places like that, a lot of struggling companies with fantastic assets, and that's where we source our assets from. These are all advanced or fairly well advanced projects, and I think that's the other key here. I think putting all your money into very green fields, opportunities, you're almost pushing shit uphill, given the exploration success is less than 1% for any greenfields project. In fact, it's only about 1% for a brownfields project as well, so that puts it into a bit of perspective. 2 assets in Utah, like I said, West Desert, large zinc, copper, indium, and silver resource. And Copper Warrior, which is only 15 kilometres from Utah's second largest copper mine, Lisbon Valley. But I won't talk about those. I want to talk about Storm today, where we, this year we put out our maiden resource, which is almost 20 million tonnes at over 1% copper. We've just started drilling here and exploration this year, so it's very exciting times, and keep your ear to the ground for news. Like that previous map showed, is that we're very far north Canada. And look, I can tell you that there's more opportunities here than not. We're in Nunavut, which is essentially a very active and expanding mining and exploration district and jurisdiction. There's over 8 currently operating mines up here. We're also very close to 2 existing mines, but no longer in production, but the Polaris and Nanisivik base metal mines that were operated over 20 years in this part of the world. This is essentially an Arctic desert, so unlike down here where the big Canada is written, and places like you've heard about, Quebec and Ontario and James Bay, etc. A lot of money went into there, but I can tell you that this place is a lot easier to work. We've got no trees, and what that means is we've got no animals. We've got 500 metres of permafrost. That means there's no pit water, there's no running water. We get less than 1 metre of snow a year. It's an Arctic desert, so it makes operating up in that part of the world, obviously, in which it's very difficult and challenging in terms of there's darkness and the cold, obviously, but I can tell you it's much easier to warm drill rigs up and cool them down like you would see in Central Australia, etc. So there's a lot of benefits. We're on the coast. Most of these mines down here, particularly the gold and the diamonds, they can be inland, their product can be flown out. So this part of the world, you need to be near the coast, and we're next to the Northwest Passage, which is a designated sea lift route. So we get, I think one year we had 50 ships come and supply the area, and all those ships leave empty. That means there's a fantastic opportunity here to backload concentrate. This is a ship in the background, 300-ton cranes. They can move big equipment in and lots of concentrate. Each one of these ships can take 10 to 100,000 tons of concentrate. So that's the plan on using those. They're based in Quebec, and we can come either straight out to market to Europe or to North America, or out the other way past Red Dog and now to Asia. One thing I will point out here as well is that this has become extremely big focus for M&A recently. 2 things. BHP's recently now working up in this part of the world, Queen Elizabeth Island. They started a multi-year, very, very greenfields operation, first mover. And they've also, we don't know who it is, but a junior mining company has just partnered with a major directly to the south of us and picked up over 2,000 square kilometres. So this is a fascinating area. There's a lot of people moving into the area, and that's because of what we've defined at Storm. So what do we have? So very early days, But in only 8 weeks of drilling last year, we managed to find over 200,000 tonnes of copper at plus 1%. So this is all open pit, all sulfide, sticking out of the ground, and we think we've just hit the tip of the iceberg. So this is the other thing to mention here. The copper is not just copper, and what you'll see is a lot of ASX companies, they talk about tonnes and grade and the commodity. What we have here is sediment hosted copper. So traditionally within the 1% to 2% copper range, but the beauty of these things is scale. We can get the same high grades that you see in VMS deposits and things like that, but it can also have the scale of porphyries like BHP's big copper porphyry binds, etc., up to 1 billion tonnes. So generally in the 1% to 2% range, but they also occur as clusters, so very large groups of deposits. Typical examples would be Botswana, where you've got Mateo, Sandfire's operations down there. You have the DRC, and you've got things like Cooper Schiefer, etc., in Europe. So very large deposits, very large footprints. We think we just hit the basically tip of the iceberg, pardon the pun, for being up there. This just map gives a little bit of the sort of scale potential in the immediate term. So these red and dashed and yellow dashed lines are basically EM and IP and geophysical anomalies that we've identified in the last couple of years. Every time we've drilled an EM anomaly, it's been copper and high-grade copper. We made 2 discoveries last year, Thunder, of 50 metres at 3% copper. That included 20 metres at 6% copper. That was an EM target. That has not been followed up. That's not part of the current resource. We're drilling that in the next couple of weeks. We've also did the Gap and the Thunder, Lightning Ridge, sorry. We've got over 30 metres, 2% copper. So these are all EM anomalies. These are not part of the current resource. This is the immediate growth potential for us. But that's one very small part of the project. So we've got over 2,000 square kilometres here. So very large project. The copper horizon goes about 100 kilometres. We've basically drilled out 5% of this whole margin. We have copper anomalies all the way down the belt. Recently, last year, we talked about Tempest. We have a 4-kilometre long Gossan sticking out of the ground. Very high zinc and copper numbers in it, up to 30% copper, 30% zinc, sticking out of the ground over 4 kilometres. Tornado and Blizzard, 10 k's down the road, a storm, identical geology, copper sticking out of the ground and EM anomalies down there. So we'll be moving our exploration, which is starting the storm area now, down to Tornado and Blizzard in the next couple of weeks and months. And so, yeah, we're looking to expand this quickly. I didn't mention Seal. It's a zinc deposit we have as well. Looks like a very early Mount Isa. We have the copper and zinc horizons in the same sort of sequence, etc. Now, talking about the innovation. So this is the exciting thing for us, is that given the nature of the ore and the grades, and it's mostly chalcocite, which is 80% copper, we have the opportunity here to break this down very simply. And Jeff's video on the mine and the processing is almost identical what we're proposing here. So crushing, screening, sorting, and then moving basically direct shipping ores out on the ship. And so what this means is very low capital, very low cost, but very high margins, given obviously where copper is today. Is it done before? The short answer is yes. I mean, Sandfire Resources did initial DSO at the DeGrussa operation. That essentially paid for the plant. It's done all through the DRC. It's done in the Pilbara. In terms of the lithium mines, all use DSO, and the same with the iron ore. So it's very simple technology. We're just applying it to a very robust ore body. So how and when? So just quickly, we just started exploration. So anyone that knows us, we're a very news busy company, I guess, is one way to say it. So news very regularly on the back of the drill and the geophysics. We're doing resource expansion, so we expect this thing to grow from the 20 million tonnes significantly this year. We're doing exploration along the belt, so we want to turn this into a district scale opportunity. But we're also doing the things that matter the most in the background, which is the mining, the environmental, and the economic studies are all underway. So lots going on, lots to do. We're hard at it, and we believe this will give us transformational change this year.